What's up? I wanted to make a video today to talk about something that's kind of been interesting to me. I've been in the insurance industry for 10 years now, and in 10 years, I have not seen as few or as little amount of insurance training content as I've seen in the last year or so. There was a lot of people training on insurance, and now there just seems to not be very many. Everyone kind of is just like an insurance influencer now. Everyone's always just posting like motivational shit, and there's not really anything that's like value driven, anything that's like actionable that people can use and actually get better at insurance. It's just like this crock pot of who can like post the most motivational content and show like whatever success they have without actually giving anything back to people, in hopes that like they could just recruit them and have them work for themselves. It's very weird what's happening in the industry right now. So with that being said, I thought I'd come back and give some actual like valuable tips on things that you can do as an insurance producer to get better at your job and sell more insurance. Okay, that's key. Sell more insurance. So, number one, the first thing, actually, before we even get to number one, let's just talk about like why you're in sales. If you are an insurance producer and you're on a sales team, I don't care what anyone says. You have expectations, and your expectations should always be you're going to do right by the client, you're going to get them better coverage than what they have, or if they already have good coverage, you're going to make sure you're like giving them what they should be having, right? You're never going to cut coverages, and you're going to give them good customer service and always be transparent and honest with them. That is expectation, okay? Expectation. Now, with that being said, I see a lot of people who always feel like they need to be like motivated at work, and if they're not motivated, they end up like not being productive. And so that initial like boost of energy and motivation helps kind of get them through maybe a couple hours, or if they're brand new, maybe a couple of weeks. But that dies off. Like, the reality is that insurance is not fun at all. Insurance isn't fun. There really aren't very many industries that are fun. But you're in sales to make money. And so all the work you put in is so that you see it on your paycheck. And so what I want to get to is this motivation, and this is the same saying that I have been saying for years. Motivation's temporary, discipline is forever. Okay, let's do that again. Motivation's temporary, discipline is forever. That means that you can be motivated, but it's going to go away no matter what. Doesn't matter what you're doing, it will go away. But discipline is what keeps you productive. And so you need to teach yourself the art of discipline, so that when the days suck and the work sucks and the first of each month rolls around and you're right back at zero again, you're able to still produce regardless of how you feel or how motivated you are, because you're disciplined to do the work. And 95% of people are not disciplined. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to give 5 tips today that you can use to be better at selling insurance as a licensed producer. If you're an agency owner, show this video to your team because they need to hear it, okay? Number 1, the first thing you need to do is create high output habits. And what that means is, before you do anything else, even if you're experienced, right? If you're experienced in the industry, but you don't have high output habits, which is like a minimum of 100 outbound dials a day. That's kind of the baseline, 100 outbound dials, which it probably should be even higher now because people don't pick up the phone at as high a rates as they did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. If you are not able to hit that baseline metric, like, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Being a 15 item producer, a 20 item producer, you're not good. Like, you're just an average or below average producer. To become an average producer, you need to be at like 40 items a month minimum, 35 to 40 minimum. That's 2 items a day over a 5-day work week, 20 work days in a month. Selling 2 items a day, that's 40 items. That's an average producer. So creating high output habits. So minimum 100 items a day, minimum 10 quotes a day, minimum 2 items a day, right? That's the activity pyramid. I'm gonna see if I could actually like throw in an edit of like right here probably of a little activity pyramid that shows that, and I'll put that in here for you. Activity pyramid is essential, okay? 100 items is the baseline, it's the foundation. 10 quotes, 2 items. You need to have at least one of those 3 things day in or day out. If you don't have 2 items, you better have 10 quotes. If you don't have 10 quotes, you better have 100 outbound dials at a minimum. And if you don't have all 3 of those, you're not doing anything all day. And if you're like a half sales, half service person, this is not for you. This is for like pure sales only producers, okay? So that's the first thing. Create those habits. Get used to doing those things each and every day. And if you're not doing them, then you need to start all over again and like really start from scratch and build those high output habits. Number 2, you have to learn insurance coverage basics. I hate that I even have to say this, but like if you're brand new to the industry, then obviously like that's expected. You have to learn insurance. But if you're even someone who's been in insurance for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, and you're still like running into issues where like there's things on basic coverages that you just don't comprehend, or maybe you're not good enough at explaining coverages, then you just need to go back to the drawing board and just like learn the basics of coverages. And it's so important to know because each one intertwines with each other, and there's so many things that you can do when you're talking to a client with active listening to help craft policies that are best for the clients. And too many times as producers, you're only thinking about like get them the coverage, tell them what the coverage is, give them the price, ask for the sale. It's not like that. You need to be way more in depth. And usually when people are that transactional on a quote, one, they're not really doing right by the client because they're not customizing it to the client's needs because they're not listening actively. And 2, like they really probably don't know any better. And so it's very difficult to kind of come from a place of being an expert when you're not really an expert. And people trust people who are confident when they speak. So the more you learn about coverages, the more confident you're going to be when you speak. So with that being said, we're going to go to number 3, which is challenging yourself to ask for the sale 3 times on every single call, regardless of how out of the ballpark you think you may be. And the reason why we do that is for 2 reasons. Number 1, we want to get over any objection that you may face, because we know most people, the first objection is when most producers kind of give up on a call. But it's also the first objection that you receive is typically a fake objection. It's just a way to get you off the phone because they know that most people are going to say okay and let you off the hook. So we want to make sure that we're asking for the sale 3 times. 1, so that we can get over the fake objection, but then 2, statistically we know that if you're asking for the sale 3 times on the first call, your likelihood increases by like 40-50% just by asking 3 times. That means that you don't even have to get better at like talking or doing anything else. It's just merely asking for the sale 3 times. Statistically puts you in a much higher chance of closing business. So if you can add an extra 5, 6, 7, 10 items a month just purely from asking, like what is that going to do for your paycheck? It's going to be a huge difference. It's also going to allow you to close business on the first call way more often. And that alleviates a lot of your time because you don't have to follow up for sales because you're closing business on the first call, which allows you to bring on more leads, more new clients, more new quotes, things like that, which allows you to write more business. It all adds up. And then the next part, so this is number 4 now, is learn how the rates are actually constructed, okay? Too many producers don't even know how rates are calculated. It's so important. There's a million different factors, and you don't need to know every single one of them, but you need to know most of them so that you can look at a person's quote right in front of you, their little profile in front of you, and you can kind of look at it and say, okay, like I know what your credit's like. I don't know your full credit score, but I know what your your credit score is that like the insurance company is giving us, whether it's like 1 through 10 or 1 through 50, whatever the numbers are, right? 1 through 16, like every company is going to give you some sort of credit score, not their credit, like actual credit score, but their credit rating, right? So you need to be able to like look at those things, what their IS score is if you're Allstate, right? And you need to be able to look at their location. You need to look at how many vehicles they have. You need to look at the type of vehicles they have. You need to look at how much it costs to replace parts in this market. You have to look at what the loss ratios are for insurance companies. You need to know like what companies are paying out as far as like corporate from lawsuits, right? How much cash at hand each company carries, what your credit rating is as a company. If you're independent, you should know that for like most of your major companies. All these things tie in together. People's accident reports, their credit report, their their driving habits, do they have tickets, do they have accidents, are they renters, are they homeowners? Like you need to be able to like look at a profile while you're talking to someone and be able to calculate and tie all these things back so that when you have a price, you can say your price is this cost because of X, Y, Z. And now that leads into part 5. You have to learn how to do, and this is the 5th step, you have to learn the art of journey telling, right? Some people say storytelling. I like to say journey telling because as an independent agent, right, I got very good at explaining the journey that a client is going to take with me and my agency to bring their prices down and increase their coverages. And so I would look at their coverages and I'd say, okay, you have, state minimum coverage, but it's because you have 2 accidents that fall off, you have bad credit, blah, 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 this and that, you have late payments here and there, this and that. This is how we're going to get you from this price to a lower price with higher coverage in the next 5 years, the next 3 years, right? We're going to put you with this company at a higher rating from non-standard to standard. The goal is to get you from non-standard all the way to preferred, right? Preferred coverage is 100, 300, 250, 500, and higher on auto. But you're at 1020. How do we get you there? We get you there from taking you from non-preferred to standard, which is 25, 50, and 50, 100. And then we're going to take you from standard and a different carrier that's better for standard clients. And then we're going to take you into a preferred, right? So this might be a 1.5, 2 year deal. Because every time we rerun those reports, it's going to see that your prior carrier was not a non-standard, it was a standard. And it went from a standard to a preferred carrier, right? And then when we move you from a preferred carrier to a better carrier or a linear carrier, right? Like your rates drop because they're seeing who your prior coverage is and what your prior companies are. This helps with your ratings. But in the meanwhile, you also have homework to do. You have to learn, okay, we can't have any accidents, we can't have any tickets, we can't do any of that, right? Because these are things that you hold in your court, right? The ball is in your court for that. I can't drive for you. I can't make you pay your bill. You have to do those things. And so it makes it a journey that we're both going on, right? I have to do my part, which puts this person with the right carrier at the right time with the right coverages. I have to be transparent and open to explaining what those coverages are and how it's going to affect them. And then they need to do their part, which is paying their bills on time, staying out of accidents, right? Like buying into what we're doing and accepting those coverages, knowing that they're going to pay a little more on the front end and they're going to keep paying. But in the long run, when the accidents fall off, when we're looking at the prior coverages, when we're looking at the prior companies, your rate goes down. I'm confident enough in knowing how to read a profile, knowing who my carriers are, and knowing what needs to be done to bring rates down to be able to say that. Most agents aren't because they don't know how to do it, right? So you have to learn the art of journey telling and put people on that journey with you where it's mutually beneficial. And if you can do that, then guess what? You're going to have super loyal customers who are already expecting to be with you long term because you've set out a journey for them. And then you both have to hold up your end of the bargain, right? That's how you are going to get better at selling insurance. Now, I'm going to go back one more time and give you guys the 5 steps. Number 1, create high output habits, right? Learn how to make a lot of dials every single day, even when you don't want to, without relying on other people. Number 2, learn insurance coverage basics, right? That goes without saying, but there's a lot of people who don't know the basics. Number 3, challenge yourself asking for the sale 3 times on every call, regardless of whether you think you're competitive or not, right? This is just going to get you better at overcoming objections, and it's going to statistically put you at a higher closing rate. Number 4, learn how rates are connected. And you want to learn how these rates are calculated, not connected, how they're calculated so that you can learn how to connect it to step 5, which is the art of journey telling. So if you can make a lot of phone calls, right, and be able to speak about insurance when you get a hold of people, and you're able to ask for the sale 3 times, and you're able to on those calls when you're asking for the sale, learning how to explain transparently how coverages are made, and then place a journey with you and that client for the next 3 to 5 years, you can write a lot of insurance and you're going to make a lot of money. So with that being said, that is my training for the day. Okay, 5 steps to get better at insurance, and I hope you guys learned something from it.